Okay, at this time, we're going to defer to the city manager.
Thank you, Chairman and members of council. Mr. Bell, your planning and zoning manager, will make the presentation this evening regarding Resolution 23-2014. It's your agenda item number 11A.
Good evening, Mayor Welchel, members of the City Council. Jim Bell, Planning and Zoning Manager with the Development Services Department. The item before the council is a conditional use approval to allow the operation of a brewery, a beverage manufacturing use, with an accessory tasting room, the Barrel of Monks Microbrewery. It'll be in an existing tenant space of the Penn Florida Commerce Center, which is located at 1141 South Rogers Circle. There is also an accompanying application for an amendment to the previously approved site plan to allow the operation of the brewery with the accessory tasting room. This site plan amendment was unanimously approved by the Planning and Zoning Board on January 24th. I will discuss that shortly. The property is a 4.01 acre parcel. It is located a half a mile south of Clintmore Road on South Rogers Circle in the Manufacturing and Industrial M3 zoning district. It has a compatible comprehensive plan feature land use designation of manufacturing industrial. It is within the South Congress Industrial Park. Although the property is zone M3, most of the zoning requirements for the property are regulated by a previously approved plan development master plan approval for the South Congress Industrial Park. This is an aerial view of the Penn Florida Commerce Center along with the affected tenant space of the center where the microbrewery will be located. The overall area shown on this aerial view is the South Congress Industrial Park area. It was annexed in 1985 from the county. It also had master plan regulations adopted in 1985. This is a close-up view of the Penn Florida Commerce Center and the location of the tenant spaces in the center where the Barrel of Monks Microbrewery will be located. You will see the site plan for the center. The center was previously approved in 1998 for 70,560 total square feet, and that comprised of warehouse, manufacturing, and office uses. With this proposed amended site plan, the existing 70,560 square foot building square footage will remain. However, interior renovations will be required for a new mix of warehouse, manufacturing, and office square footages. With this amended site plan, the previously approved manufacturing and office uses will be reduced, and warehouse uses will be increased to accommodate a proposed 9,136 square foot microbrewery, which will be in two existing tenant spaces in the center, bays 5 and 6, shown with the circled area there. The South Congress Industrial Park Master Plan Resolution, together with a few selected provisions in the M3 zoning district, specify the regulations for parcels located in the South Congress Industrial Park. The proposed development meets or exceeds all zoning district regulations. No changes to previous building square footage, building height, setbacks, or landscape buffers are proposed by the conditional use and site plan amendment applications. This is strictly an internal use change out within the building. In short, the petition is a request for an approval of a conditional use for the microbrewery, an amendment to the site plan reallocating uses within the center, resulting from the proposed microbrewery. You can see a comparison here between the existing development of the center and the proposed development. Previously, it had over 32,000 square feet of warehouse, over 27,000 square feet of office, and over 10,000 square feet of manufacturing. The new layout of the center will increase the warehouse to over 44,000 square feet, over 22,000 square feet of office, which is a reduction. A reduction in manufacturing to now 2,200 square feet of manufacturing, which includes an 867 square foot tasting room with 15 linear feet of bar area. With this amended site plan, the proposed microbrewery use will now be the only manufacturing use in the center. The microbrewery is a beverage manufacturing use which requires conditional use approval pursuant to the South Congress Industrial Park Resolution, which actually approved the master plan regulations. And that is the reason why it's before you today. The microbrewery will occupy a total of, again, of 9,136 square feet of tenant space, and that comprises of 2,250 square feet of manufacturing, which is the brewery, 5,359 square feet of warehouse storage space, and 660 square feet of office, with the accessory 867 square foot tasting room and the 15 linear feet of bar. Let me provide you some information of the microbrewery's operation and the tasting room. The Barrel of Monks will be the only brewery operating in the city, and it will be a craft brewery. A craft brewery is defined by the American Brewers Associations as a small, independent brewery that brews beer with traditional ingredients. A craft brewery creates beer made with a focus on the quality of the beverage as a primary goal, as opposed to a goal of mass production. Craft breweries are generally divided into brew pubs, a brewery inside a food establishment with on-premise sales, and production breweries, breweries which primarily manufacture beer for sales to distributors who subsequently sell the beer to retail outlets such as restaurants and grocery stores. Barrel of Monks will be a production brewery, manufacturing or brewing the packaging beer for sale to distributors. Beer distributors or wholesalers will purchase kegs and bottles of beer brewed in the facility and subsequently sell such products to restaurants and bars, as well as to stores that sell the specialty beers. Barrel of Monks will employ as many as 9 employees to manufacture and package the beer, as well as to operate tours and the proposed tasting room. In the craft brewery industry, a standard and popular component is a tasting room. Much like in the case of wineries, aficionados of craft beers desire an opportunity to sample the different flavors of beer in this tasting room. The applicant proposes to have a small tasting room. As you can see, it's only 867 square feet and has 15 linear feet of bar, adjacent to the manufacturing area. The direct sale of beer in this setting is permitted pursuant to the Florida statutes. The applicant states that the purpose of the tasting room is not to establish a bar, but to allow members of the public who are interested in craft beer to visit, sample products, and learn about the process of craft brewing. Tours will also be offered for the purpose of educating visitors about craft beer and the process by which it is made, as well as to allow them to sample the Barrel of Monks products. Samples of the beer manufactured in the brewery will be available in draft form as well as in bottles. According to the applicant, tours are expected to attract tourists and tour groups. Beer tourism is a growing industry, with many craft beer lovers traveling to experience regional craft beers and tour breweries. As you can see by this floor plan, the manufacturing, office, and warehouse portions of the space are clearly delineated from the tasting room. There will be no beer taps or a tasting counter, sale of alcohol or consumption of alcohol outside of the tasting room. The microbrewery will be required to obtain the required licenses for its operation. Staff has analyzed the project against the review criteria applicable to applications for conditional uses. Staff has not identified any adverse impacts that would preclude approval of the requested conditional use. Given the location of the proposed brewery within the interior of the South Congress Industrial Park, the absence of any abutting residential uses, the relatively small size of the tasting room, and the applicant's demonstration of adequate parking, which I'll discuss shortly, city staff finds the approval of the conditional use would be appropriate and reasonable under these circumstances. Staff finds the brewery conditional use consistent with the purpose and intent of the South Congress Industrial Park regulations. Furthermore, the applicant has also submitted a letter from the South Congress Industrial Center Association stating its approval of the proposed microbrewery use, and this is in your backup. To ensure that the tasting room component of the brewery does not result in any unforeseen traffic or parking impacts, staff has included the following conditions of approval: that the brewery obtain all licenses for the operation of its brewery and tasting room, that the brewery is limited to 2,250 square feet of manufacturing, 5,059 square foot of warehouse, 660 square foot of office, and the 867 tasting room with the 15 linear feet of bar. The maximum occupancy of the tasting room is 58 people. The brewery tasting room hours are 4 to 8 p.m. on weekdays and 2 to 9 p.m. on weekends. The tasting room shall only sell products manufactured by the brewery. There'll be no serving and consumption of alcohol outside of the tasting room, and no on-site food preparation with the brewery tenant space. The mixed-use nature of the tenants in the center allows for the utilization of shared parking. The applicant's traffic engineer performed a shared parking analysis for the combination of these uses on the site, and based on restricted hours operation of the tasting room. Based on the peak weekday shared parking demand, which occurs on a typical weekday from 3 to 5 p.m., and an estimate of the anticipated center's parking demand, 156 on-site parking spaces are required, and 165 parking spaces are being provided now in the center. To ensure that shared parking is effective, staff has also included a condition in the accompanying project resolution that restricts the hours of operation of the brewery's tasting room to 4 p.m. on weekdays and 2 to 9 p.m. on weekends. The applicant's traffic engineer provided a traffic study and determined that the proposed microbrewery's conditional use and the redistribution of uses within the center will result in a net increase of 7 daily trips. However, there will be a net decrease of 9 a.m. peak hour trips and a net decrease of 4 p.m. peak hour trips. Vehicular access to the center will continue to be provided through 2 existing full access driveway connections on South Rogers Circle. Since there was a minor increase in traffic, no changes were needed to these existing access driveways. On January 24th, 2014, the Planning and Zoning Board approved the site plan amendment in a 7-0 vote and recommended approval of conditional use, also in a unanimous vote, to allow the operation of the brewery with an accessory tasting room in the tenant space of the Penn Florida Commerce Center. So therefore, based on the, let me add to that. At the P&Z meeting, some members of the public inquired about emissions, odors, or byproducts that may be produced by the brewery, water uses for the brewery, and parking controls. The applicant spoke in response to these inquiries and addressed these public concerns. So, based on the Planning and Zoning Board's approval of the site plan amendment and staff's review and analysis, staff recommends that the City Council approve the accompanying conditional use to allow the operation of the brewery with the accessory tasting room in the existing tenant space of the Penn Florida Commerce Center, subject to the conditions in the accompanying development orders. And that concludes my presentation. I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have at this time.
Any questions to Mr. Bell?
Yes, Madam Mayor, I have two questions. The first one, Mr. Bell, was when were the master plan regulations initially approved for the Rogers Circle area?
1985?
1985. They were originally approved.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Next question. How many jobs will be created with this microbrewery?
The applicant has identified 9 employees, so there may be some peripheral jobs outside of that, but that's what was told to us as a direct impact of the brewery's operation, 9
Okay.
employees.
Thank you. That's all.
Any questions?
Madam Chair, Jim, and maybe my questions are more targeted towards the petitioner. Will there be any type of food sales here? I know that there's a condition against preparing foods here, but
I believe there could be an opportunity for somebody to maybe have a food truck in the parking lot. We did not preclude that or prevent that there could be, but there can't be any on-site in this tenant space or in the actual
cooking
center
or
itself.
preparation. Okay, and and I will ask this of the petitioner because I'm concerned about the type of liquor license they're going to have to get if there's no food sales. So, and I'll save that question for
And
him.
I
Thank
forget
you.
exactly which one it is, so yeah, it would be better if you asked them.
Any further questions? Okay, thank you very much. At this time, we're going to open up the public hearing. If there's anyone that would like to come forward and speak on the subject of Resolution Number 23, 2014, now's your time.
Thank you. Good evening. Mitch Kirshner with Gray Robinson at 225 Northeast Meisner Boulevard. I don't think you could have asked for a more comprehensive report than Jim made. He gave you all the facts and conditions. The great part of this is really it's been a fun project, and I think it's going to be great for Boca. These craft breweries are truly are a niche industry. They're growing tremendously. If you look at Google, it's good that we have one and that we're going to have one in Boca Raton. We hope. The gentlemen who are here, who are the principals, are Boca Ratonians, and actually 2 of them are doctors. I asked for a prescription, but I don't know if I'm going to get what I asked for. But Dr. William McPhee is here, Dr. Matt Sadie, and Keith DeLoach are here, and this has been truly a labor of love of theirs for some time. As was said, excuse me, this is not a bar, and what they're going to produce is nothing like the beer that gets chugged at the Dolphin games and such. This is really a very sophisticated industry for aficionados. In preparing to come and see you, I went on Google. There are college curricula on the management and the business of brewing. If you deem that you need it, if time permits, and I don't know that you do, Dr. McPhee has a PowerPoint project where it shows a tasting room at a microbrewery where the tasters are all wearing blindfolds. There's not going to be any food prepared. It truly is a very serious endeavor in what's become a very sophisticated industry, not unlike the wine industry. I will, if I may, just hand out something that we handed out at P&Z, if I may. It's a letter from Scientific Service brewery scientists that just reflect on the fact that the brewery is virtually noiseless. The odor, if anything, is that of malted milk. The decibels are no more than if you were walking through a typical mall. But so let me provide you with that as I did provide it to P&Z. I'll be honest with you, Vice Mayor Haney, I'm not sure I know what the license is. I believe it's a manufacturing license. Certainly, it's not a bar license. It's not a 4COP. It's a very limited and technical license. I wish I had prepared for that one. That was a good question, though. But we will, of course, we expect to be, looked at by code compliance from time to time, and we will forever remain in good standing. So if there's any questions, I should mention Paul Slattery is here, who did the architecture work on, it's not a new building, but on the tenant improvement, which is John Donaldson, did a terrific job on the shared parking. The reason we were able to do this is that the hours of the tasting room will be limited, and it'll be in operation for the most part during times that the other utilizers, the other tenants of the complex, are not doing their business. So that's about it. But again, I've got some wonderful expertise here for any questions you may have. And again, Jim, thank you. Wonderful report.
Question of Mitch. Okay.
Mitch, a question in terms of, there are other microbreweries in the area. I know that Brewsies is a chain business. However, they do have microbrewery beers, and their select are very, very popular in terms of when people go there, they can get a table full of 8 for sipping. And is it my understanding, am I correct, that there is a microbrewery in Del Rey?
There is actually, let me introduce you to Dr. McPhee for just a minute, because he also has his doctorate in brewology.
Brewology.
I'm making it up as I go along. But Bruzy, of course.
Did you make that up, Mitch?
Yeah, but just Brewsies is a restaurant that features a microbrewery, but the doctor is the expert.
Hello.
Name and address, please.
William McPhee, 620 Southwest 17th Street, Boca Raton, 33486. How do you do, folks? Thank you for allowing us to be here. In regards to your question about Brewsies, Brewsies is what is known as a brew pub. As was mentioned in the talk by Mr. Bell, there's 2 basic designations of breweries: production breweries, which are designed primarily to make beer in packages to give to distributors, which subsequently resell it, and brew pubs, which are typically a microbrewery or a brewery inside of a restaurant. So that's what distinguishes us from Brewsies, is the fact that we're not a restaurant at all. We are a production brewery.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Madam Chair, may I ask a question to Dr. McPhee as well? My question about the liquor license was just out of concern for you, that if you weren't serving food, would you have to purchase or have that higher liquor license, which is extremely expensive?
Actually, no. Apparently, that's not an issue. The license required is called 2COP, which is the lowest consume on-premises license you can get for serving beer on site, and it does not require a higher license just because we don't serve food.
Great. Thank you so much.
Or Dr. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Mr. Majors.
Thank you very much. When everybody was sworn in, I saw 4 hands go up, and I saw one person who creates traffic solutions, one who creates buildings, and one who creates law. So I figured you had to be the guy who creates the beer. So I have a few questions. Will this be stocked on local shelves?
Yes.
Will it be?
Absolutely. That's certainly our plan and our goal.
Very good. And do you manufacture anywhere else currently this label?
No,
or
sir.
Is this going to be?
It's our first go, and it will be the only place we will make this product.
Will the label and can the label say manufactured in Boca Raton?
Absolutely.
Fantastic.
Proudly so.
Very good. Thank you. And the other is I visited Fox River Brewing Company in Appleton, Wisconsin. I don't know if they manufacture or if they're a brew pub, but they brew a soda as well. They brew birch beer. I don't know if that's just a gimmick.
At this point, I have no plans or intent to brew anything other than beer.
Well, I love it, but you don't have to, but this certainly tastes good.
It's an interesting thought to keep in the back of our mind.
Okay, thank you very much. That's all the questions I have.
Mr. Millay? No. Okay, I have a couple of questions. Generally speaking, Barrel of Monks means some sort of a children's playground. Or is that monkeys?
That's
when,
monkeys. We commandeered
so,
part of the name.
So because
as,
I've been to the Barrel of Monkeys, and this is not exactly the same.
Our use of that name was an attempt to be humorous and commandeer part of the name of something that people would recognize. The Monks refers to the fact that we are making Belgian-style beers, and in Belgium, the beers are often made by monks in monasteries.
Yeah.
And
yeah,
so
well,
we believe that Belgian-style beers are...
They know when something's good.
Yeah.
Then a lot of times, Doctor, when, circumstances like yourself where you actually have a product that is consumed by the public, like Dunkin' Donuts, they brought us donuts in when they wanted to open. They didn't come here empty-handed. So what do you have to say
I'm
for
embarrassed
yourself?
to say that we didn't, but...
well, you know what? We'll let you come back.
all right,
That's
all
what
right.
we'll do.
We'll return next
Or
time.
we'll
with
meet
the-
you after hours or
Very
something.
good. Even
Whatever has
better.
to happen. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank
I'm
you.
just putting you on, of
Thank
course.
you.
Okay, is there anyone else from the public that would like to come forward and speak? Now is your time. Seeing no one come forward, we're going to close the public hearing. And Council, what would you like to do with Resolution 23, 2014?
Madam Chair, move adoption of Resolution 23, 2014.
Is there a
Second.
Any further discussion? If not, Ms. Saxon, would you please call the roll?
Welchel,
Yes?
Majus.
Yes.
Malay,
Yes.
Haney,
Yes.
Scott.
Yes.
The motion passes 5-0.
Okay, thank you very much. And we'll move on now to regular public hearing, and we'll ask the city clerk to read the title of ordinance number 5269.